This is Susan Wilbanks with blendedinsight.com. I am a holistic and integrative healing arts practitioner, an intuitive, and an energy healer. In this podcast, I share tips, tools, and suggestions that have helped me along my path in hopes of inspiring and helping you along yours. Let's get started with today's podcast topic. Hello, bright soul. Thank you for joining me on another podcast. Thank you for showing up. I so appreciate you. And I want to thank everyone who has taken the time to leave me a review on iTunes. If you could do that, I so appreciate it. And for those of you who have taken the time out, it takes time from your day to put it together, to write it out. So I appreciate you. And I also want to thank everyone who's taken the time to share my work and comment and engage and just be a positive presence on the planet. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough. And that brings me into today's podcast topic because I know a lot of people, including myself, who have been going through a little bit of a funk. And I had a couple of days where I just didn't feel like myself, and I just felt kind of drained, lethargic, and I couldn't really put my finger on what was going on. So it could be something planetary wise. It could be a lot of things because there's so much energy flying around in all different vibrations right now. So I wanted to share with you today ways that you can get yourself out of the funk so that you can return to yourself and go forward with whatever it is that you want to do and that you need to do. And I'm going to shift it up a little bit this time because one of the ways that I have always got myself out of a funk is by shifting up my routine. That is one of the easiest things you can do because we can get into a monotony. And here lately, it's everyone around me and even clients when we connect, on the phone, a lot of times they're sharing that they just feel lethargic and heavy and out of sorts and unmotivated. So if that's you, this podcast is for you. So the very first thing that I like to look at when I'm feeling like I'm in a funk and when those around me are feeling in a funk is your energy body. And so we're going to start out today's podcast before we go into all of the other things by doing a general cleaning on you. And I'm using pranic healing. I've had a lot of inquiries lately where people send me messages and say, I want to get Reiki from you. And I do have it listed on my website under the sessions tab that I primarily use pranic healing in my private sessions. The difference between pranic healing and Reiki is that pranic healing has cleaning properties that Reiki doesn't. The principles of Reiki are you just send the energy, and though the Reiki experience that you have often has to do with the practitioner because we're all individual people, so we have our own thumbprints on the way that we practice the energy healing modality, even though we're sharing the same lineage. So when I do Reiki on my YouTube channel, I set the intention that as I'm sending the energy out, it will clear out negative energy, but it's essentially like dumping a bunch of water onto the subject, hoping that it flushes all the other stuff out. So that's kind of the best way that I can describe it. Whereas pranic healing systematically goes in and removes the diseased and dirty energy first before you send the energy in. So I have found pranic healing to be far more effective because of the cleaning properties. But when I'm doing mass healings, it's a little bit more difficult. So in my private sessions, for a very direct and clear, succinct, focused on that person healing, I will start by cleaning using pranic healing. And then oftentimes I will use the pranic healing modalities and protocols listed depending on what's going on, or I will then send the Reiki energy healing. But for me, I've just found it to be far more effective. And so right now, what I'm going to do is use pranic healing with us to clean your outer aura. That way, if it's because of stagnant energy, which it often is, usually when you're feeling really lethargic and blah and like you're in a funk, you've got congestion in your energy field. So right now, let's just go into a healing. We're going to do it right now in the beginning. So you can just uncross your arms and legs and just sit and receive. And you'll hear me moving around and spraying like always. Okay. All right, so I did a sweeping and a general cleaning on your outer aura, and then of course I sent some energy. And so let's just see if that in itself didn't help to shift things a little bit, because I know for myself that does really help. And so that's the energetic component. A lot of times when we're in a funk, our energy centers are congested, or we could have cords. So that's typically one of the first places that I look. Aside from that, let's look at practical things that you can do outside of energy healing to get yourself going. So, one of the things that's really important is looking at your nutrition. Vitamin D is really important, especially in the winter months. Most of us right now aren't getting out as much as we normally would. And so even that, all year round, I take a vitamin D supplement. So that's something you should really look into. Also, taking a really good whole food multivitamin. Most of us cannot get all of our nutrition from our foods. Our foods are not as nutrient dense as they used to be. So multivitamins are important. So are omega-3 fatty acids. I take fish oil every day. There's times when I switch it with flax oil. It just depends. But getting your nutrition in, and then how is your food quality? Because sometimes our food quality can just bring down our whole entire being. If we're not eating well, we don't feel as well, and it can spiral into other areas, especially during this pandemic. So very practical things. The other thing is, what about your sleep? Are you sleeping well? I know around the full moon, which we just had a full moon, my sleep gets interrupted usually. And so one of the things that I do regularly is I take magnesium. I like Calm, CALM. It's a powder. And, there's a website called Labdoor where they test products. And I know that they said Calm wasn't as pure as other ones, but I know for myself, it relaxes me. I like the taste of it. I get a raspberry lemon flavor. I think it's raspberry lemon. I put it in warm water and I drink it like a tea. And when I do that at night, it's part of my ritual, and it helps me sleep and it helps my muscles recover. So it works for me. The other thing, and I know you probably get tired of me talking about it, but is activity, some form of activity. Exercise is so important. I remember years ago, I discovered this company that was doing weighted hula hoop workouts. And I actually just they were advertising, and I believe they were advertising on Hay House Radio. And I would hear the advertisements and I thought, wow, because they were talking about activating your certain energy centers. And it was just a bunch of connected women on the beach doing these little hula hoop workouts. And I thought, oh, that's so cute. I want to support this company, so I'm going to order from them. So I ordered a weighted hula hoop, and, I'd put the little DVD in. They're only like 10 minutes at a time, because the weighted hula hoop, you're not supposed to work out forever. Anyway, it's a great ab workout. And so I had shared that with a couple of people who don't like to work out, and they love it, and they still do it to this day. So here lately, I've been going back to my hula hooping because it is fun, and it's a great ab workout. So it's finding something that you'll stick to, that you enjoy doing. And sometimes you got to switch it up. I use the Active app, and I've been doing intense cardio running, incline running. Here in Colorado, it's too cold to go outside and do outdoor walking now. So I'm just doing it indoor. And I noticed that I'm getting a little burnt with it. I'm getting tired of it. So I'm switching that up and doing some other things. I'm going to introduce a glider into my routine for cardio. But, I lift weights. And one of the things that you can really do to help yourself is have some accountability. When you have accountability, it nudges you. Sometimes you've got to will yourself out of it. Action does truly cure despair. So if you're feeling like a funk and you just sit in the funk, you're not going to get any better. If you can schedule an energy healing for yourself, that will definitely help. But we've got to get yourself moving through it. So I really just started trying to switch up my routine. And what I like about the Active app is that there is a level of accountability, because it lists out the things that I need to get done that day. And then if you get them done, it'll give you a gold star. And it's just little checks and balances. And the other thing I do with my food for food accountability is I use MyFitnessPal. I just want to track my nutrition and what I'm eating, make sure that my macros are balanced, and it helps me to hold myself accountable. And when we check off the things that we want to get done, we feel better. And then that momentum builds, and then we can get ourselves out of it. If you can find a coach or a friend, someone to hold you accountable, that can also really help. I was working with a nutrition coach for, I guess, 9 months. I worked with him and I learned a lot, and I really did enjoy that. There's lots of groups on Facebook, and I know a lot of us aren't on Facebook anymore, but you can find mediums or outlets or platforms to hold you accountable. So that's something that can really help. The other thing that I have used for years, and I've used to share about it a lot, and then I just stopped sharing about it, but it is linked in my show notes, and it's linked on my latest YouTube healings, is Inner Talk. Inner Talk is a subliminal technology. I have so many Inner Talk CDs. I became an affiliate with Inner Talk after sharing their work for, 8 or 9 years, that I realized I could actually become an affiliate and be easier. So I do have that linked, but essentially subliminal programming. I have so many other CDs that are just beach nature tracks. And when I'm feeling like there's a certain area that I can't move through or that I'm getting in a funk about, then I will play those during the day when I'm working. I'll put on headphones and listen to it when I'm cleaning. And then I'll play them at night when I'm going to sleep. So that's something that you can do. And it's Inner Talk Technology. And the affiliate link is in the show notes, or you can just go to their website. You don't have to use my affiliate link. And then another thing that I want to share, I know I talk about breath work a lot, and there's so many forms of breath work that it can be super intimidating. And I've tried so many forms, but one of the things that I find very simple and effective, and I shared it with a soul sister client of mine a couple of weeks ago, is there's a woman named Samantha Skelly. And she's very edgy and raw. That doesn't bother me. I love to see women just express themselves in all forms. Language doesn't bother me, none of that. Aside from that, she has an audiobook called Healing Your Anxiety Through Breathwork. And they are very short, guided breathwork sessions. In fact, if you have Hay House audio, Hay House went to an audio app. You can do a 7-day trial, and her audiobook is part of that Hay House bundle. It's in there somewhere, but you can also find it on Audible. And I think her website is called Pause Breathwork. But if you're drawn to breathwork, you could do the Hay House trial, or if you're already a member, you could just, and I'm not affiliated with this at all. I'm not getting kickbacks or paid or anything. I'm just sharing with you what I have found and what works for me. Anyway, so you can go in there and just try it. But her breathing pattern is different than what I originally learned, but it is similar to one of the breathwork practitioners that I've worked with recently. And so she plays kind of like shamanic music, kind of, and hers is, I know it says healing your anxiety through breathwork, but she essentially just gives like a mantra about, standing in your power, I think is one. And I think there's 4 different ones. Anyway, they're only about 20 minutes long. And I think you're actually only doing the breathing for 15 minutes. So for me, that's a nice introduction. It's something very doable that you can fit in during your day. And you can see if the breath work is something that you feel like you can add in that will really help you. So I wanted to offer that here. Another really practical thing you can do is just get out a notebook and write down your goals, 10 goals. I've made it a practice for years to just sit every single day and rewrite my goals in present tense, write 10 a day. And it doesn't take long, probably less than 2 minutes, but it helps to refocus you on your bigger vision. What's your why? What's pulling you forward? What's pushing you forward? Because when we don't have goals, we tend to fizzle out. And so the point of living is to actually live, move forward. What are you wanting to create? What do you want to experience? And so that's something that can really help you. And then what went well today? That's something that I've really been focusing on, because sometimes when we're in a funk and we feel like we're unable to do the things we want to do, we're with all these restrictions and, it's just kind of a blah type of energy. It's good to remind yourself, you know what? You're showing up and you're here and you're making it through this time. It may feel like, nails on a chalkboard, but you're still making it through. And so I've had to remind myself of that. Like, you know what? I may have let some things slip through the cracks. There may be some things that I'm struggling with, but I'm getting up every day. Taking care of my responsibilities. I'm doing the best I can to take care of myself, to lift other people up, to be a vessel. So when I start feeling like, gosh, I should have did this or I should have did that, but I just didn't have the energy or didn't get to it, then I just ask myself, what went well today? What did I do right today? What is going right? To shift you into perspective, because, it's a human nature to focus on the things that are going wrong or the negativity. And so I've really been making a practice to try to shift it back to what went well today. What are all the things that I'm grateful for? For example, I know that this has been something for a lot of people because I've talked to a lot of clients over the past month that have had the same issue that I've had. My electronics have went completely haywire, and it has been so frustrating. It's been funny in some ways, but in other ways, it gets frustrating. So for whatever reason, every Bluetooth connection that I try to connect to starts to static. So my last few clients were on the phone and then our calls drop or it gets static, and it's funny. And then it's also frustrating. And so one of the things that I finally had to do is I had to get a new phone. I said, I don't know if it's my phone. I'm troubleshooting. Why does every Bluetooth connection that I own fail like this? Now, I work with a healer that works with, he basically does healings on me. He does vibrational attunements on me. He works with teachers, like me, or people that do healing work. And he's told me that my vibration was getting too high for my electronics. So I needed to recalibrate my electronics to my energy vibration. And I thought it was really interesting, and I did try to do it, but then I thought to myself, I don't know if that's accurate because there's so many people that I know, even just colleagues and friends and associates that are having the same kind of issues. So I thought there's something energetic. I don't know what it is, but it was not only my Bluetooth connections, but my Fitbit completely fizzled out, and that's never happened to me before. I haven't had it that long. It started short-circuiting and pulsing, and then it just died. And I thought, what in the world is going on here? I like to track. It keeps me accountable. So for me, I like the fitness trackers. It helps to show me what I'm doing, and that's just the way that my brain works. I'm very mental. So even in that, and I had this couple of days where I was trying to order new phones, and I figured, oh no, I'll get my daughter a new phone too because hers is also messing up. So it's not just me. That's why I thought the vibration thing, it is a possibility. It's, but I don't know because of everyone else is happening to. And so the actual company, I'm with Verizon, and the customer service was just not very great. And I had to make an appointment to go to the store, and then they didn't have the phone and they weren't helpful. And it was just I was like, what is this parallel reality or this strange reality I'm living in? And then I was just so frustrated, and I came home and I was talking to one of my best friends, and I said, I don't know what is going on, but this whole year is just a chore. It is a chore. Those venting moments that we all have. And then I just said, you know what? I'm so grateful that I have the means to actually get a new device. Let me be grateful. I have the device. I have the means to actually get something new. And so that in itself, I'm so grateful for that because there's so many people that don't have those means right now. And I feel as though through all of the trials, at least I can figure it out. And at least I can solve it. And so even in the moments of frustration, I try to bring it back to, all right, Susan, what's going right? And what did you do right? Okay, I handled it. I'm getting it taken care of. I'm not just sitting and letting my Bluetooth connection static and all my connections drop. I'm actually trying to troubleshoot and figure it out. I'm doing what I can. And after I do what I can, all the rest of it is, it's out of my hands. But action does cure despair. So that's something that I've really been working on. And I think that's about all of the tips that I have. Check on your nutrition. That's number one. How are your vitamins? Do you take vitamins? What's your nutrition level like? What's your food quality like? How's your vitamin D? Are you getting sunshine? If you can get outside, that's really helpful. Here it's just too cold, but if you're in an area where you can get out, that's great. So little practical things. Exercise. Are you moving your body? Because when we move our body, we're also moving out energy, stagnant energy. Doing energy healing is great. Meditating is great. Are you doing, you can try breathing exercises, which is also a form of meditation because it puts you in an altered state, shifts your awareness. The inner talk CDs are helpful. All of my healings on my YouTube channel are very helpful. The energy is super pure, and I always set the intention to clean as well as send the energy to heal. So that's why sometimes I get comments where there's other Reiki practitioners that don't do it the same way that I do it, or other energy healers in general. Again, we all have our own footprint, so you got to figure out what works for you and trust what you're drawn to at the end of the day. And as you know, I have my healing list by topic. I know it's a huge list, but if you subscribe to my newsletter, you can download the list and go to your specific topic and look at all of the healings and offerings that I have for that topic. And that's the easiest way to sort through it. And a lot of times I'll get people send me private messages or even just comments on my YouTube channel. Well, they'll write a couple of paragraphs or list all of the ailments they have, and they'll ask me what healings that they should use. And my answer is always the same. Trust your intuition and get the healing list by topic, because outside of a private session, if I'm not in the person's energy field, all of the things on the surface are usually not the root cause. And so there's no way for me to know that outside of a private session. So I feel like my answers are always kind of redundant, but it just is the same. Trust your own intuition, get the healing list, and then trust what you're drawn to. And honestly, book a private session. I always say these mini healings, the podcasts are not a substitute for a private session. Find a practitioner that you're drawn to. There's a lot of us out there. If whatever energy healing modality you're drawn to and whoever you're drawn to and that you trust, book a private session. Invest in your own healing. Invest in your own process. I mean, I'm in this work, but before I learned the work, that's what I did, and I still do it. I still hire people to do readings for me. I still hire people to do energy healing on me. And I do my own work. I exercise and meditate and do my own healing because I know that the modalities help. And so everything works together, like I say, and I said earlier in this podcast, spirituality is carried out in practicality. They're just tools to help make things a little bit easier and a little bit more bearable. So I hope that this helped. I want to thank you so much. And as always, I appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.